fight. We don't have to kill. Everybody in the whole wide world really just needs to chill. No, we don't have to fuss, no, we don't have to...
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Just Chill with Oliver George. This is episode number 48, and the guest this week is a gosh darn national treasure. But before we get to that, I want to remind you, if you're watching on YouTube right now and you would prefer audio only, you can get that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many other places like that. However, if you're listening to this and maybe you didn't even realize there was a visual side to this whole thing, then I encourage you to please come check it out on YouTube. However you choose to enjoy the episode, though, if you could please like, subscribe, follow, share, whatever the case is on the platform that you are using, it really helps me to keep growing this show from the ground up and reaching more people like you. So if you've already done so, thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. And finally, if you want to reach out to me, maybe you've got a cool guest idea or just some general feedback about the show, you can hit me up at justchillpodcasting@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's guest. That's right, I had the chance to sit down with the man himself, Ed the Sock. And if you're like me, you grew up watching him on MuchMusic, which is very appropriate to this interview as he was discussing NewMusicNation, which is a channel that he's launching, a multifaceted channel that really brings back the vibe of MuchMusic and the spirit of MuchMusic that we all loved, focusing on independent Canadian artists. It's currently on Indiegogo right now, so you can go back that campaign. But before you do that, why don't you check out this interview, because I think it'll give you a little bit of behind-the-scenes insight on it, and I just had a blast talking to him, so I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you very much. All right, well, thanks a lot, man. I want to thank you first off for coming on, because not only am I just happy to have you as a guest, but you actually had a big impact on this show. I had the chance to open for you and Leanna back in March 2nd of 2019. I can see the poster over there. And I got a chance to host for you, and I hadn't done comedy in like 8 months, and it went fairly well. So, and it was just cool getting to open for you. And after that, it sort of propelled me into wanting to launch this show and sort of, you know, a little shot of confidence, if so to speak. So I wanted to thank you for that.
You're welcome, though. I want to know why the people doing the booking booked you to open when you hadn't done comedy in 8 months.
Fair. I probably showed a video I had done and it seemed passable, I guess. Brandon's a nice guy. I mean,
judging by a lot, we had a lot of openers during that tour. You know, went across Canada, and you were. I remember you as being a good opener. The reason I remember that is because most of the openers were horrible. It was like it was open mic night. Like they had their material was old, their delivery was poor, and I was like, these people are the best in town. Like, or did you just find somebody at a bus stop and say, hey, you want to tell a couple of jokes? There's stuff. There was one guy. He was vile. His stand-up was vile. He was saying disgusting things about his wife and sex, and she was in the audience. And she was like, no, it's okay. And my thought is, what is she gonna say other than it's okay?
Sounds like a messed up relationship.
She seemed very submissive in nature. And I was like, this is not okay. You know, this kind of crap is not okay. People assume that, when I was going live, they're going to see me be extra crude. No, I'm not extra crude. I can use words I can't use other places. I can be a little bit more politically incorrect when I'm going live. But, you're not going to get the vile filth that came off of him, which mostly gets nervous laughs rather than actually legitimate laughs.
Yeah.
It makes people nervous, and they laugh because they're nervous. Yeah. Some people, they don't care as long as they get a laugh.
And that's such a weird vibe to try and start off a show with, too. Jesus.
Yeah. Then we come in after the scorched earth. Yes. Like, hey, how's everybody doing?
Well, I'm glad I stood out as one of the non-shitty ones. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Well, man, let's get right into the new thing that you're doing right now, which is trying to launch the NewMusicNation. You've got an Indiegogo campaign going right now, and you guys just are at 71%, I believe, just hit 25 grand. So it's going at a great speed, full speed ahead. And this is supposed to capture what MuchMusic was once like, with real connections with the audience. And you want to kind of revive that, but put a modern spin on it and focus on independent Canadian artists. So it's just like a really lovely idea, and I hope it works out. So, but what else, what motivated you, and also what caused MuchMusic to really shit the bed, in your opinion, is another thing I wanted to know.
Well, those questions and the answer to those questions is kind of intertwined. MuchMusic shit the bed when they stopped knowing the new management took over, and this new management didn't understand what made MuchMusic. They saw MuchMusic as a poor cousin of MTV, and kept wanting us to drift over to become more of what MTV had become, which was a reality TV station, less about the music. Massive inferiority complex for MTV. You'd go into this woman's office, and instead of having MuchMusic on the TV, she would have MTV on the TV. And she'd say, why can't we do shows like that? The obvious answer is we didn't have the money. MTV had way more money than MuchMusic. And we never hid the fact that we didn't have money. We made that pretty obvious. We weren't trying to fool anybody. We just gave good content. We didn't package things up nicely. She told me once, our viewers are stupid and just want shit, so we're just going to give them shit. And when you have that kind of disrespect for your viewers, you're going to lose them, especially when your viewers are not stupid, like she insisted. She insisted that viewers couldn't remember anything that happened more than 3 months ago. So don't mention anything more that happened more than 3 months ago. And I refused. And we did a documentary, a smartass, he had the sock report about hip hop. And we traced it back to hundreds of years to griots who would tell stories in Africa. And I said to her, well, this 3 month thing, we just did smartass and it got huge ratings, like better than anything else you had this month. And we went back hundreds of years. And they said, yeah, nobody's interested in that. And I said, you don't understand. We got high ratings. Yeah, nobody's interested in that. So how do you continue a conversation with people like that?
Yeah, really.
They were stupid and mean, not nice people. And so I quit. I refused to start dumbing down my stuff. I was like, no, this is not, forget it. I stayed with my city TV show, which is the same company, but I quit MuchMusic. And then MuchMusic went on the sales block, and then it got sold. And then they came back to me after the new management took over, new owners took over, and they had wanted me to come back. And then just as we were discussing that, they changed formats to this comedy format, and that went out the window.
Wow. Yeah.
And my motivation is that there's nothing out there like MuchMusic. People say we have YouTube. What do we need MuchMusic for? That's ridiculous. Yeah. That's like saying we have house league hockey. What do we need the NHL for? Just because there's a lot of stuff out there doesn't mean it's good.
No, not at all.
And doesn't mean it has the same snap. There was a particular personality that lived in MuchMusic. There was something there underneath it all. There was a little magic underneath it all that tied it all together. So you can go and look for music videos on YouTube if you want. Go ahead. The thing is, their algorithm is only going to take you to videos like the one you just listened to.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be exposed to a variety of music you didn't even know was out there if you're just going by an algorithm. Yeah. We're going to be exposing you to different kinds of music that you otherwise wouldn't have encountered if you're just following a computer.
Definitely. Well, one of the things that I think made Much magical was obviously the VJs that they had employed. And so I wanted to talk to you because I saw a couple of the previews for some of the NewMusicNation VJs that are coming up. And I got to say, they were really likable. They seemed to have that same vibe. I don't know how you did it, but they really seemed like relatable and down to earth, but still interesting and still good behind the camera. So I wanted to know, what qualities were you looking for specifically when you went looking for those VJs?
I was looking for personality and authenticity. People who wouldn't put on airs in front of the camera. People who would be themselves, but the themselves that they're going to be are interesting characters. They're interesting people because, none of the MuchMusic VJs put on an act. We were all genuine. Who we are. Yeah. Everybody was legitimate and authentic, and that's what people responded to. And then they started hiring spokesmodels and telling them what to say. And that became completely artificial, and people just dropped off, stopped watching it. So I wanted people who were real and who seemed likable and had quirks. They're not the football team captain or the homecoming queen. They're people who have quirks and understand the media as well, understand how to play to a camera.
Nice. Well, I think you captured that because I saw Ali B and Dez, and they both seemed like really cool, interesting people. And from different parts of Canada, too. Dez was from up in Northwest Territories, I believe.
Yeah, Inuvik, in Northwest Territories. Cool. He's running for mayor of the town there now.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a bit of a Hail Mary for him, but good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
That's awesome to try something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of VJs, then, if this thing gets off the ground, which I think it will, in the future, do you think there's a chance of guest spots from former MuchMusic VJs stopping by?
Well, the door is always open for visits. So I hope that we will see visits. There's some more likely than others. I can see doing something with Strombo.
Nice. Because
our friendship has lasted over the years.
Yeah.
We're in touch with each other, sporadically, but Rick enough to be in touch. And Rick Campanelli, I'm in touch with, have been for, continuously for years.
Yeah.
Love to have him on. Bradford Howe, he's in New York.
Oh, he was awesome too. Yeah.
Yeah. He's in New York. He's actually on a new project. That's a new pop culture network online down there. Nice. So if I do something with him, it'll be online, but he's also been a friend for years. The rest are sort of friends. They were people who I was friends with, but we've gone separate paths.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I couldn't tap them on the shoulder for a guest spot.
Well, I think it would be huge if you could do some sort of VJ reunion special, which I would volunteer to moderate that panel for sure. I mean, I've already interviewed. You're now the third MuchMusic guy that I've interviewed. So,
Who'd you get? Strombo and who else?
Campanelli. He was.
Oh, yeah, Rick. Okay, good.
Yeah, and they both spoke well of you.
Yeah, well, we all get along. There's a mutual respect there.
Yeah. Well, no, you guys seem like a real family.
Yeah, and like a family, you're closer to some members than others.
True.
But you're still family.
Well, hopefully you can try and touch base, and some people will come through maybe that you think might not,
Well, yeah, there's one relationship in particular that needs repairing. I'm not going to tell you who.
I think I know who it is.
Okay. There's one relationship that needs repairing, and I've tried. I haven't had success, but it may have been I tried at a bad time in that person's life.
True, yeah.
So I'll try again.
Revisit,
just for the sake of repairing the relationship, not to have him on as a guest.
No, that's awesome. Well, I want to know, is this going to be, since, there won't be any big broadcasters involved, is this going to be uncensored? Because we all know when you're listening to a certain song and half the words are bleeped out, it can kind of ruin the vibe of the song a little bit. So I was wondering.
There'll be no censorship.
Nice.
No blurring of lyrics. But by being uncensored, that doesn't mean expect the VJs to start swearing and showing
No, it doesn't need to be
parts
crass for no reason.
That. No, it's we'll talk like real people talk. Probably
Nice.
drop the word shit in there now and again. But that's no big deal. But we're not going to use the license to just go crazy, to just do stuff for the sake of doing stuff. Because, ooh, look at us. Look at how edgy we are. We get to swear. Like, that's just crap. Like, I don't know if you might be too young to remember the cartoon Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
But it was very popular, and it was groundbreaking and unique. And then the creator got sole rights to them, and he started to do uncensored cartoons, and they were no good.
Oh, I didn't know.
Because he went way too far. It's fun to skirt the edge.
Yeah.
It's fun to skirt the edge. It's fun to do a nudge and a wink. It's fun to do euphemisms. It's stuff like that. That's fun. Using cleverness to get to say what you want to say and have people know what you're saying, even though you're not saying the actual words. That's a challenge, and that's more fun than just coming out and saying the words, just being brazen. So, that's the same thing. Like, they found that a woman whose breast is covered is more alluring to a guy than a woman whose breast is wide open, is naked.
Leaves something to imagination, yeah.
Yeah, at least there's a little bit of mystery there. Yeah. There's a little bit of something that it's not, because it doesn't just reduce it to a body part. There's an allure to it. Yeah. And that's why there's an allure to doing content that doesn't just have swear words thrown in for the hell of it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm still glad there won't be censorship, but I like that you have that approach to it. I also want to ask about Fromage because I did read that would be making a return. And I have to imagine after all these years, there's been so many countless videos you've seen that you've probably had this deep urge to want to lampoon. So I'm wondering if any really stood out over, the last decade, videos that you just really can't wait to sink your teeth into.
Well, actually, we're not going to be playing any of the big names on New Music Nation. It's all independent, unsigned artists or those with small record labels.
That's great. So
I won't be doing Fromage aiming at the big names because they're not part of what we're doing.
Oh.
It's going to be Fromage based on the videos that we get.
Still be awesome.
You got to be gentle because these aren't people who have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they put their heart and soul into the videos. So you can't be, scathing. But you can be scathing in other ways. Listen, when we used to do Fromage, the artists would thank us for putting them in. Rather than getting mad, they're like, thank you for putting us in Fromage. So they liked taking the piss out of them.
It's like a roast or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, they considered it an honor, they said.
Nice.
And so I'm not saying I'll never go after the big names, but they don't interest me anymore. Like the big name talent, they just don't interest me.
Well, you've talked to almost all of them.
I've talked to a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of the new ones, of course, I haven't talked to. But how could talking to them be any different than talking to the people who came before them?
Yeah.
They're very, I imagine an interview with Kanye West would be kind of out there. But how would my interview with Taylor Swift be different than my interviews with Christina Aguilera?
Fair.
Or any other, so-called diva or pop princess.
Yeah.
How would it be all that different? And I'm just not interested in that heavily commercialized, heavily marketed music anymore. It just doesn't hold my attention.
That's awesome. And helping out independent artists in Canada is a great initiative to be, putting behind this.
Well, it's one of those things of what the hell did I get myself into? I've got so many videos to go through now, like tons of videos. It's going to take me a couple of days doing nothing more than going through videos, and they keep coming in. So this is I might have bitten off more than I can chew.
Well, I was going to say, I wanted to mention or ask you rather, what was the best way for artists to sort of apply officially? But if maybe you've got too many already, maybe that's not the best idea.
Well, it's submissions at newmusicnation.ca.
Okay, cool.
I said people should submit, so I can't now say don't.
Yeah. Eventually you'll get through them all,
Yeah, I just gotta, I bit off more than I can chew, so I gotta chew faster.
Yeah, there you go. Or get some people to help you chew.
And eventually be able to hire people to help with stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna need to hire people because this workload is way too much for one or two people.
Well, and I had read that if this goes as well as you're hoping, that you guys may eventually even get like a headquarters, sort of like MuchMusic had. And,
well, that's the goal.
And that could lead to live performances, I'm assuming, sort of like the intimate and interactive type deal.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's awesome. What we want to do. That's a very expensive proposition because rents are really high. And doing the audio correctly for live music is not easy. You need to get experts in there to do it.
Yeah.
But especially rents are very high.
But that's like a long-term goal, at least. Yeah,
the goal right now is to produce enough content that we can show it to advertisers, and they'll understand what we're doing, and then they'll sponsor it. They'll be into what we're doing, and they'll jump on board. And that money, we hope, will be the stuff that piles up that we can then expand and continue to expand and grow and have a headquarters. But as it stands, the world is our studio. We can shoot anywhere somebody is. That's our studio.
True.
So there's a magic to that too. There's an honesty to that as well, as opposed to be, one central place.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to go great, and I can't wait. I'm really excited to see, just where this ends up. But I'm happy for you, and I'm really happy someone's doing this. I think a lot of people are going to feel the same way.
I've heard a lot of really encouraging things from people, so it looks like I hit on it at the right time.
Definitely. Well, now I want to know, though, because a couple of years ago, you launched the FU network. Yeah. And you've got a lot of great podcasts on there. I've actually been featured on one a few times myself. But I want to know, is that still going to be up and running, or are you going to have to take a break from that to focus on New Music Nation a little more heavily?
I took a break for the month of the crowdfund.
That's it, though? Okay, awesome.
There's still shows going on.
Nice.
Broken Clock still happens. Ed the Sock Lives still happens. Steven and Steven, well, I had a couple of weeks of interruption. Mensplaining took a hiatus for a month. But no, intend to keep those going. There's thousands of people listening.
Yeah, you've got a ton of podcasts too. So
yeah, there's no reason to just drop off. It's not, I mean, it may be the kind of thing where I have to withdraw myself from it, but that doesn't mean it has to stop existing.
Definitely, yeah. You've got it up and running. Get someone you trust to take it over and sort of chaperone the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I only host one of the shows. So me not being there won't be the end of the world. I'd stop doing the Socket to Politics show because I got sick of talking about politics.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I mean, I did it for 3 years solidly talking about politics. And then I just got sick of it. I just got sick of the same games all over and over, the same nonsense, and being disappointed with the conduct of political parties and political people. I just got sick of talking about it. And so I just stopped that show.
Yeah, I could see that as being very draining. I actually want to ask you kind of a funny question now because my dad, he was a big part of this show when we started this thing. We were originally doing it only in studio, and he was the guy running all the audio visual tech. He had recently retired. It was great for our relationship. But with COVID and me doing Zoom and him being 65, we haven't really been doing that much. And it just recently dawned on me, I should start including a question from him every episode when I'm doing one of these. So this will be the first time I'm doing this segment just called My Dad's Question. But here's what my dad sent in. He wanted to know, since there's a lot of people doing the 23andMe and DNA analysis is playing a big role in human genealogy lately. People find out, oh, I had 5% Scottish I didn't even know about, or that kind of thing. So he wants to know if there's something similar in the sock world. For instance, do you know if you're 50% wool, 45% nylon, and with a splash of 5% spandex, or what's your heritage there?
I don't answer questions about my ethnicity.
Fair, that's valid.
I'm not defined by my ethnicity.
That's valid.
I'm a sock, but that's just where it begins. It's not where it ends.
Nice. If only everyone could look at things that way.
Exactly. A colorblind world.
Nice. I have to ask if there's any chance that you're maybe reaching out to Weird Al. I know I've seen other people asking that because Al Music was one of my favorite segments on Much Music where he would come in and pretend murder a VJ and kind of take over the show for a couple hours. Yeah.
Al and I have been friends for years, like friendly. I wouldn't say we're friends, but we're friendly in that show business way. Yeah. He did my show for the first time back when I was still on cable access.
Oh, wow.
Way back. In the early 90s.
Oh, wow.
And then he came and he did my late night show on City TV as well a couple times. So we know each other. There's a regard there. I used to know his manager, but his manager's not his manager anymore. So I don't know his management currently. But after the crowdfund is done, I am going to reach out to him and see if we can at least have a guest appearance.
Yeah, I would love to see the footage that you just described of him on your shows, especially the early 90s one. Is that available anywhere or no?
Not right now, because it's on a tape format that is antiquated. I have a machine that can play that tape format, but it broke down. And the only one person around who can fix it is older, and he won't let anyone come over during COVID.
Makes
so
sense.
When COVID is over, he's apparently gonna fix the machine. And then I have to get my entire, I moved. I had a whole setup to digitize tapes and to take it apart to move. And then for some reason, it didn't go back together the same way it came apart.
Oh.
And there's warnings and stuff like that as to why the tape machines aren't working. And I don't understand what the code means. So I'm going to have to, apparently the same guy can do it. So it's a lot of stuff waiting until after COVID.
That's awesome to know that there's a treasure trove of content, though.
Oh, I saved the master tapes of tons of my Much Music on-air stuff.
That's awesome.
So there's hours and hours of legitimate old Much Music stuff that I recorded and saved right from the master tape. But again, it's the same thing. The machines are giving me an error code that I don't understand, so I got to wait to get them repaired.
Well, that's a good time to mention that if people go to the Indiegogo right now, there's a ton of awesome perks, many of which have sold out. But one of them is the Fromage 6-pack, where people can watch 6 different shows you did over the years of the Fromage special. So if anyone's itching for some of that classic Ed content, it's there.
Yeah, I'm surprised by how well that one's doing. I thought, a couple of people will get it. No, but it's digital downloads.
Yeah.
Because you can't put Fromage up on YouTube because it'll get pulled down right away because of using licensed music. Even though there's a legal thing if you're using it for criticism or lampoon or satire.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, satire.
Yeah, but you can't talk to a machine about that. And it's just an algorithm that hears the music and grabs it and it can put your whole channel off. It can, suspend your channel or cancel it. Yeah. So you can't put Fromage out there for everyone to see, but I do have digital downloads direct from the masters. There's only one Fromage that's missing. I don't know if I have the master or not. I think I found it just when I was moving and it didn't get digitized to Fromage 99. The first one I really did, the first one I took over. But that's the only one that's missing. Which is kind of sad because that was the one that I really would like to see the most.
Hopefully it turns up.
Yeah, I hope so. People quote lines to me that I said in Fromage that they still remember. And I'm amazing. Like, I don't remember. I mean, I did so many of them. And there were so many jokes in every episode that I can't remember most of them.
That's so cool when you find that you made an impact on somebody like that you can't even remember.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a jerk because they're like, I remember this. I'm like, no, I don't remember it.
Well, I want to remind people to go check out the Indiegogo then, because there's other cool stuff. Like you can get a replica Ed. You can be a VJ for a day on NewMusicNation. So there's just so many cool options there. People should definitely go check it out.
To get there, go to NewMusicNation.ca, which is right now just a placeholder website. Yeah. We're going to build a bigger one. Go to NewMusicNation.ca and click on the Indiegogo logo. And that'll take you to the Indiegogo with all the perks that he's talking about.
And there's about a week left in the campaign, I believe.
6 days.
Well, this episode will come out tomorrow, so there will be 5 days.
5 days.
Yeah.
All right, 5 days left in the campaign. We've got, we're at 71%, so we need to make up that 29%. But we're on pace.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's heading in the right direction, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's doing well.
I want to ask you, because I saw you posting recently that some of your worst interviews were with Vanilla Ice and Anthony Kiedis of the Chili Peppers. That one bummed me out a bit because I've always been a Chili Peppers fan. But on a more positive note, what interview really, moved you in a positive way the most, if you had to pick one?
If the interviews that moved me and had impact on me were when I just talked to people off the street.
Oh, nice.
Those were the ones that had the greatest impact on me. Talking to celebrities, I mean, they were fun, but I often forgot. Like, I can't even tell you now who all I interviewed because I interviewed so many, I forgot about them. I always had a good relationship with Christina Aguilera. Those were always fun. Got to sing on the road again with Willie Nelson. Oh, wow. Including the parts where people just hummed the lyrics. He hummed along with me. Nice. I got Chris Martin from Coldplay to run around the second floor patio while I hummed the Benny Hill theme. That was fun. I was
gonna say, as a nerd, I was kind of hoping you were gonna say Stanley or Mark Hamill because I know
Stanley was one of the few times I was like kind of in awe. You don't stay in awe very long because he makes you feel comfortable. Made you feel so comfortable. Yeah, you're relaxed.
It seemed like everybody's Stanley, grandpa.
Oh, he was a great guy. And when we met him, he was in his 80s, and he had more energy than I did. Very positive energy.
Spry,
it was very infectious, his energy. We interviewed him 3 times at his office, and cool. It was always great. And every time we'd see him at a comic convention, he'd say, "Hey, did I get you kicked off TV yet?" And then going to Mark Hamill's house and hanging out with his family for an afternoon. Back then, they were trying to keep their dog out of the kitchen. So they had these little light shock mats by the kitchen door.
I didn't even know
it was basically like a static shock.
Oh, okay.
But we kept forgetting it was there. So all the crew was like stepping over it and getting shocks.
That's hilarious.
But he showed us around his house, showed us his toy collection, his Simpsons collection. He was a very, very gracious host.
Well, speaking of both those guys, I know you're a fan of comic books, as you can see by the Superman TV right there even. But I wanted to ask you, what do you think to date is the worst comic franchise put to film or television?
Wow, that's...
Everyone thinks Howard the Duck probably right off the bat, but I bet there's worse.
I mean, Daredevil was pretty bad.
It wasn't the best.
Daredevil was pretty bad.
I liked Michael Clark Duncan as the Kingpin. That was about the only redeeming.
Well, yeah, that was a redeeming feature, but it wasn't a good movie. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, terrible. Batman Forever, terrible.
Batman.
I hated Zack Snyder's Justice League. It had a few moments in it, but most of it was just dragged on, and it was just another Zack Snyder movie.
Now there's a 4-hour
slow
version.
motion. What's that?
Now there's a 4-hour version.
Yeah, like this is how you win people over for a movie that was bad at 2 hours. Make it 4 hours.
I still haven't seen the new version, but
it's slow. Honest to God, they determined that 24% of it is slow motion.
Really?
They measured it. 24% of the overall movie is slow motion.
That's hilarious.
So it's the same. He uses the same tricks over and over.
Yeah.
And he tells the same stories over and over. It's the same. The sky is always dark. There's always like debris flying down from in the sky that looks like it did after 9/11. And it's all the slow motion and ridiculous overwrought music. It's just crap. I think that was lousy. I didn't like Captain Marvel.
Oh no.
I thought it was weak.
I thought it was okay. Like
Fantastic
Four
movies not good.
Wait, you said Fantastic Four?
Yeah. They were not good movies.
The two that they made with Jessica Alba were like bearable in a cheesy way, but I didn't really love them. But there was the old one from '94 that never even went to theater. It was like an ashcan copy that they just produced to retain the rights. I forget who did that movie. I want to say Roger Corman. Is that the guy?
It might have been Corman.
Yeah.
It was the one where they did, where Reed Richards' stretching was done hilariously. It was terrible. They had to make a movie to keep the rights.
Yeah.
So they made this really cheap version of the movie, and they tried to bury it, but it came out on VHS. It was sold at conventions.
And apparently they didn't tell any of the actors at the time that it was just this, bullshit thing they were doing. They all believed that it was going to come out in the theater and that they were part of like a real film,
Yeah, it's the Fantastic Four has not been done properly on the screen, and that last version,
the last one was like
that's what happens when I don't like taking superheroes and saying let's put them in the real world.
Yeah.
The reason we like superheroes is it's not the real world.
Yeah.
And the minute you put them in the real world, it's not the real world anymore.
I don't want to have to ask, where's the Thing's junk because you decided not to put his little underoos on. Like, I found that very bizarre that he was just naked the whole time. Where's his rock dick? Like, what happened?
How does Superman fly? I don't care. Here's how he flies.
Yeah.
It's imagination.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to know. Zack Snyder said it was all about political and social commentary. No. Do that in other movies, not with superheroes. Superheroes are supposed to be a fun romp.
Yeah.
You can make points in them. Falcon and Winter Soldier made points about the Black experience in America, did it in a way that was artful and didn't feel heavy-handed and didn't feel like a diversion from the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So you can comment on social things. But the way Zack Snyder does it so heavy-handed, it takes away any of the joy. When you leave a superhero movie, you should leave it with the feeling that you'd like to be that superhero.
Yeah.
And the last movie that did that for me was the first Wonder Woman.
That was a great film, yeah. I haven't seen the second
movie.
one. I heard the second one was terrible.
I didn't like it.
Yeah. Well, apparently she made the jet invisible just by thinking about it. Like, I didn't even know that was one of her powers.
Yeah, it was not good.
Not good.
Like, you can't believe that the same people who made the first one made this one.
That's what I've been hearing. Yeah, I'm probably going to watch it one day on a lark, but I haven't had the time.
There's a couple of good scenes.
Yeah, I can believe that. Usually the shitty ones still have a couple of good scenes.
But if you go into it with expectations, you'll be disappointed. If you go into it expecting it to be anything like as epic as the first one, you'll be disappointed because it's not.
Yeah, the only DC thing I've been excited about lately is the new Suicide Squad. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, Suicide Squad looks really good.
As opposed to the first Suicide Squad, which was kind of a dumpster fire, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was lousy. And that was another one that was the editor or the director didn't get to cut it the way he wanted.
Yes, I heard that.
So it was a mess. But James Gunn has the power to get the edit control for Suicide Squad, and the trailer they released was hilarious.
And the cast is
just
huge.
The right tone for those characters.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to Suicide Squad.
Yeah, King Shark especially. Oh man.
I like Polka Dot Man.
Yeah, and he's a great actor too, David Desmalchin. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like I love that he chose such obscure characters, and I love John Cena as Peacemaker.
Yes, and he's getting a spin-off or something now too.
Yeah, he's getting a spin-off series on HBO Max.
Right on.
So chances are he'll survive the movie.
Oh man, well I could talk comics with you all day, but I don't want to keep you too long. I want to ask you the one question I've been asking everybody at the end of this season, which is if you could have dinner with someone that you've never met before from any point in time in history or the present, who would it be and why? I know it's kind of a big question, but whatever's off the top of your head.
It's a fairly expensive question.
Well, and you've talked to anybody
of all time. Who would I want to have dinner with? I think Barack Obama would be interesting.
Definitely.
Because he seems like an honest guy, and maybe he'd tell me some real shit that went on.
It's all the UFO stuff.
Yeah, I want to find out about, Area 51 and stuff like that. Yeah, I think he seems like he'd be a decent guy to hang out with.
Definitely. Yeah.
And living or dead, I would choose James Garner, the star of the Rockford Files. If I could be with anybody living or dead, it would be James Garner from the Rockford Files, for sure.
Those are great answers. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me. It's so cool to finally have you on, and I wish you the best of luck with the rest of the campaign. And everyone, go check it out right now.
NewMusicNation.ca. Check it out.
Boom. And
thanks,
follow
Oliver.
Ed on social media, of course.
Oh, his social media at Ed the Sock on Twitter, Ed_the_sock on Instagram. I've got a Facebook page under my name. I have a TikTok account, but I haven't used it yet. I need another platform to fill content with.
Yeah, really. Okay, man.
Day's only so long. All right, thanks, Oliver.
Yeah, have a great afternoon, dude.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.